By the end of 2012, two sisters were born into the Nkuhuma Pride. They would later be named Amber Eyes and Rich Nose. The two sisters were sired by the strong Matimba coalition who had taken over a large part of Mangheni and northern Sabisand. After they had lost their leader, the coalition split, but two males stayed and became the protectors of the Nkuhuma Pride. The prides in the region had suffered a great deal of turmoil over the past 5 years, but with the Matimba came stability and peace. The safety would ensure that the cubs could grow up to strong and healthy subadults, learning from their mothers how to hunt big buffalo. With the arrival of the Birmingham males in 2015, the peaceful times had come to an end. When they took over, they ousted their fathers and killed 3 lionesses in the process. One of them was their mother. Rich Nose and her sister survived, as well as 2 other young lionesses, and the oldest lioness, called Nana, became the matriarch of the pride. In mid-2016, 3 litters were born. Rich Nose's cubs were the youngest. She had given birth to 2 girls and a boy, and as a first-time mother, she showed incredible patience with her boisterous cubs. When she introduced them to the pride, her sister Amber Eyes was the first to meet them. "2016 was a devastating year of drought, and with the buffalo in dire condition, the lionesses took full advantage. Despite the incredible hunting success, the nutrition they got dropped to dangerously low levels. The nutritional deficiency of essential vitamins and selenium caused a disease called white muscle disease. Her son was the first to develop severe symptoms where he couldn't move any longer. Rich Nose was forced to leave him, and the next morning the little guy had passed. It wasn't only her cub that got sick, an older cub died a day later. And to add to the trauma, one of her daughters disappeared for a week, and it was feared that she also had died. The disease didn't only affect the cubs. 2 adults got also sick, and one of them was her sister Amber Eyes. At the end of the crisis, which lasted about 10 days, only 2 of the precious cubs were lost. The rest of them thankfully did recover, including her daughter Floppy Ear. From there, the pride went from strength to strength, and her daughters grew up to beautiful subadults. 2018 brought new challenges to the pride when their protectors, the Birmingham males, wanted to expand territory and conquer the Nkuhuma Pride in the south. By March 2018, the Nkuhuma lionesses and their cubs were on their own, but to no surprise, they did exceptionally well. Rich Nose's sister Amber Eyes wasn't blessed to have her own cubs. The litter she had given birth to in 2017 died early on. And after the loss of her second litter in August 2018, she went back into estrus, calling for males to mate with. Three young nomads who had subsequently discovered that the north of Sabisand wasn't protected by any dominant male responded to her calls. And while Amber was away mating, the rest of the pride continued with their typical activities. The northern Avoca males arrived at a perfect time. The subadults were 2.5 years old, and their mothers were going back into estrus. It didn't take long for the northern Avoca to begin courting the other lionesses as well. Ridgenose was ready to have another litter. Little did she know that one of her daughters would disappear in October 2018. This is one of the last pictures taken late September of Ridgenose and her daughter Floppy Ear resting side by side. Her other daughter would reach adulthood and would make her a proud grandmother 2 years later. Three years after she had become a first-time mother, Ridgenose was the first to give birth to the new Avoca generation. The second lioness was her sister Amber Eyes, who gave birth to 3 girls and a boy. Being the oldest came with an advantage, and despite the warnings of the new mothers, Ridgenose boys managed always to sneak in to get an extra shot of milk. The 2 boys were also eager to make good friends with their older cousin, the Nkuhuma male. They tried the same tactics with their fathers, who proved to be caring and patient dads. The 2 brothers had a very strong bond and were often seen sleeping and drinking side by side. But then, in July 2021, one of the boys got seriously injured when he suffered a broken leg he couldn't recover from. He was unable to follow the pride any longer and sadly died of starvation. But there were also happier times when Ridgenose became a grandmother in mid-2021. But then something unexpected happened when 2 newcomers invaded Avoca territory. The 2 Plainscamp males were nomads, and they posed a great danger for the subadults and the newborn litters. After they had killed one of Amber Eye's daughters, Ridgenose and Amber Eyes took the task to lure them away from the pride. They were moving far west, leading the males to Elephant Plains, Simbambili, and eventually ending up in Singita. The mating was successful and both sisters were pregnant. Ridgenose's cubs were born in January 2022, but sadly Amber's litter didn't make it. While Ridgenose's 2 cubs were thriving, so was her oldest son, who had stayed back with the Nkuhuma Pride. The bond that he had formed with his fathers kept growing and intensified when one of his fathers passed away. And to everyone's surprise, the young Nkuhuma males formed a coalition with the last standing Avoca male. Ridgenose's daughter and her grandkids were also thriving, and despite the loss of 3 cubs, 4 of them are on the brink to adulthood. There was also hope for the Nkuhuma Breakaway pride that Amber would get pregnant again to boost the number of the next generation. The Plainscamp males turned out to be caring and loving fathers, and with them as protectors, the future of the pride looked great. And lo and behold, in October 2022, Amber revealed that she had given birth to 1 cub. This joyful moment was sadly short-lived. Amber disappeared, and weeks later it had been confirmed that she had been killed by the lionesses of the Mangheni Pride. Ridgenose became a single mum, and the way how she dealt with it was extraordinary. The visits of the Plainscamp males had become fewer and fewer when they had turned their attention to the Chimongwe and Mangheni Pride. But Ridgenose had been called Supermum for a reason. She kept her two cubs out of harm's way in a less frequented corner in the northern parts of Singita. Her youngsters were always well fed, and Ridgenose didn't leave them out of her sight. She let them participate in hunts, and their confidence showed. By the end of 2023, her youngsters looked a full year older than they actually were. The prospect of her going back into estrus and having another litter in 2024 was uplifting. She could have counted on the support of her daughter, not raising another litter as a single mum. But in the wild, moments of joy are often fleeting, and the future may go into a different direction. On February 16, 2024, Ridgenose fought for her youngsters to have a future. The fight took place in their neighbor's territory, where the Mangheni Pride has 10 young cubs to protect. Ridgenose stood her ground and gave her life, so that her youngsters were able to escape unharmed. She leaves behind a legacy, and her son and daughter are strong enough and capable to survive, despite the loss of their mother. Ridgenose and her sister could have had a couple of more years, but that was not meant to be. Amber Eyes leaves behind 2 adult daughters in the Nkuhuma Pride who carry her legacy. Ridgenose will be remembered as an exceptional, brave and caring mother, and every time we see her offspring, we will see her in them.